I think it's worthwhile touching on alternative options and other support that's available. So if we move on then, working from home is suitable for certain industries, and it will already have been implemented in the vast majority of cases where it is possible. And of course, if anyone is working from home, they're not eligible to furlough. You cannot part-time furlough. You're either furloughed or you are working from home, or you are called in to work in a plant, manufacturing, whatever, goods and services that are up and running. You cannot go into furlough on a part-time basis. Alternative options, short-time working. We've touched on that, where it is an employer consultation with employees, and we move to short-time working and reducing hours and pay. It's not voluntary. It is employer directed, but the employee needs to consent to that. And the traditional process that any employer would run in relation to short-time working will apply in this situation. Again, there may well be a need to avail of redundancies generally, but it would be exceptionally difficult, I think, for any employer to move into a redundancy scenario now, because the first question the employee will say, and a trade union will pose if there's a trade union involved, and indeed if we were to get there, an industrial tribunal judge would ask, why did you make a redundancy then, as opposed to availing of the furlough scheme? So an employer will still have to, it may well have an appropriate rationale for that, but you will have to state that and stand over that, and that's a hard piece. Secondly, where you're making selections within a redundancy scenario, you will, normal employment law will still apply. You will need to be able to stand over your individual selections of the individuals themselves. So effectively, the last slide from me now is just to talk about the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme. And this is a scheme which applies if the individual is definitely self-employed or a member of a partnership. I say definitely because some consultants, if they were on the PAYE system, will be treated as effectively an employee casual worker for purposes of furlough, and they would not be in this Self-Employment Income Support Scheme. But this self-employment scheme is there to try and sweep up all those other categories of workers that are not otherwise catered for already within furlough. Grants will be based on 80% of average profits over the last 3 years. So that was still subject to a cap of 2.5k per month. But this is a situation where the individual will need to satisfy and illustrate financial performance in a way which businesses are not needing to do in relation to accessing the furlough scheme generally. There's less of an emphasis in this scheme than the furloughing scheme within HMRC, so payments are unlikely to materialise until June, whereas furloughing is anticipated end of April. So there's less commentary on this, there's less guidance in this, and it is going to be treated in a different category to your traditional employees and casual workers. But look, that's all I wanted to say in relation to the main part to this presentation. We're going to do Q&A now, and I know that I have put some very helpful materials together as well generally. But that's all from me. Rodney, if we want to maybe introduce Johnny, and we'll begin to do some of the questions that some people have been raising as we've run through this and beforehand, then I think now is the right time to do that.